Hello fellas, welcome back. So in this lesson, I'll just give a very quick overview of the Keil uVision IDE that we've installed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start it. I'll just come over here and search uVision, and it's here. I click to open. And it's opened. If it's the first time you open it, you wouldn't see this. This is a project I was working on. So I'll just close this. This is what you should see, and this project here shouldn't exist. But let's leave it. So under this very top menu, we've got items like File, Edit, View, Project, Flash, Debug, Peripheral, Tools, SVC, Window, Help. And we will give a very quick overview of some of the commonly used items here, and the rest of them will just introduce and describe them when we are using them. It makes it more easy to understand. So under File, you can come here. File helps you create a new file. You can create any file type by clicking New. You can create a file here like this, and then by just pressing Ctrl and S, I can save this file to a .c file, .a file, .h file, etc. We shall do all of that, but I don't need this, so I'll close it. I'll close it. I don't want to save. Good. So then edit allows us to edit our IDE, the text size, etc. Actually, let's come to configuration and see what we can do. So under configuration, we can edit the editor. The editor is the area where we type our source code. So we can edit it. We can come to color and font, and over here we can customize it to different colors. So in the next lesson, we would actually take a look at how to customize it. I'm using the darker theme, and I'll show you how to customize your IDE to have the dark theme as well. So that's what edit is used for. But more importantly, we can access our pack installer here. So in case you've been using the IDE for a while and you get a new board and you want to install the packs for the board, you can come over here, click the pack installer, and then it brings you back here to the pack installer, and you can just search and install the packs like we did before. So it's accessible from the IDE. Okay, I'll just close it. And then one other important thing, this one here is known as the option for targets. And this one is used to set the option for the particular board we've chosen. So how about we try to create a new project? I'll just come here. To create a new project, I click Project, New uVision Project. And I can just come here and create a new folder. I'll call this test 00, and then within the folder I'll create a project called test 00 as well. Then I press OK. So once you create a project, it brings you here. It brings you to this window which asks you to select your particular microcontroller board. Remember, we installed the pack for Texas Instruments boards as well as ST boards, and we also installed some packs for the standard ARM boards. So if I expand this, we have all the ARM boards here. If I select one of these, meaning the code I'm going to write should work on all ARM Cortex M0 irrespective of the silicon manufacturer. In the same way, I can select ARM Cortex M23 to test my code on the Cortex M23 boards as well as M7. But you probably have the ST Microelectronics microcontroller or the Texas Instrument. So let's say we select STM32 F4 Disco board. I'll expand here, and the version of Disco I have is this one here, 411. So I'll expand here, and then I'll select the particular version, and this number here, this code here, is written on the chip of the Nucleo board. So if you have your STM32 or whatever microcontroller you have, look on the IC itself. You should have the number written like this, whether it ends with CE, CC, etc. It should be written on the MCU. But usually the most important thing is STM32F411, or in fact STM32F4 alone. It should work. They are almost the same. They just have different memory sizes and perhaps one or two extra peripherals, but the microcontroller is the same. So you can select any of the F4 microcontrollers. Right, that being said, I'll click OK, and I'll click OK if this is my microcontroller. If I have a Texas Instrument TIVA C, I can expand here and select TIVA C 123 series and just select one of them, like this one. This is the one that the TIVA Cs on the market use, the TM4C1230H6PM. I could select that as well, but let's just start with the ST. I'll select this, then I'll click OK. So once that is done, you are brought to this page. It's known as the runtime environment, and this page allows you to add the startup files that you need to initialize your microcontroller board before you begin to write your code. So what you want to do is come to CMSIS here and add the core CMSIS, and then you want to come to device and add startup. And then once that is done, you click OK. Your project is created. As you can see, project name test 00 target 1. There's just a placeholder for the target name. The target basically means your hardware, so we can change this to the particular hardware we're using, which is STM32F4, and you rename by just clicking in here, and then you can rename. And the source group is just a folder that is used to group different parts of your project. So the source group here, because we have a very simple project, we just have one file. We have the application file, which is going to contain our main function. In a bigger project, like a project for a real-time operating system, you may have as many as 3 source groups. One for the board support package, which gives you access to the hardware drivers. Another one for like the real-time operating systems kernel, and a third source group for the user tasks. So over here, we just keep this one source group and then we rename it to application. Like this. And what you want, the source group, like I said, is a folder, so you can store your source files within the source group. And to do that, you click here, you right click, add new item to source group, and then I'll select over here. And over here, the add new item window, you can add any file type you want. You can add a .c file, .c++, .s, .h, .text, in fact an image file, or even you can use a template. So I'm going to use this, the .c file, and I'm going to call this main. Then I click, and then I've got a main.c file here, which I can actually just compile and test out. So once that is done, the next option we go to is this one here, known as the target options. This one allows us to further customize the compiler options for our target. So when you open, it comes here, it opens with this tab known as the target. And as you can see, the microcontroller we selected is already here, STM32F411. And when we come here, for instance, our default frequency is 16 megahertz. It's not 12 megahertz. So we can further customize this to suit our microcontroller, which has the XTOL at 16 megahertz. And we select this. The rest of this, we just leave it. When we need it, we would come here and readjust it. But more importantly, what you want to do is come to debug. The debug here would allow the computer to be able to interface properly with your microcontroller and download your code into the microcontroller's memory. So our debugger, if you're using the STM32 board, the debugger that comes with it is known as the ST-Link debugger. You select this one here. If you're using the Texas Instrument board, the debugger that comes with it is known as the Stellaris ICDI. You select this one here like this. And another thing, actually I'll leave it until we write actual code and test with our board. So this is a very quick overview of Keil uVision, the essential part of it. In the next lesson, when we test with actual code, we'll look at these other options here. This one here, for instance, is used for building the project, and this is used to rebuild the entire project. And this, of course, is used to download onto the board. We'll take a look at all of that, and then we'll also take a look at how to customize our editor. So I will see you in the next lesson, and don't forget to leave your questions below or send me a message.